continue to speak on your personal experience. You continue to center yourself. You spoke about employing Black people. The majority of white people in America are laborers. They do not employ anybody. They are employed. So therefore, you speaking about your experience as an employer is quite literally antidotal to you and the minority.
Yeah, I don't think that is fair, Pearl, that you make it seem like a person's response has to coincide with what is palatable for certain demographics. If somebody responds with passion, that's their right. If they're not throwing hands or maybe trying to be overly offensive, in my opinion, I don't think that's an issue, because you compared a lot of times that as a white woman, you're not triggered. Well, that's your personal choice. If someone gets triggered by something that is being presented to them, I think they have the room for that. When they start getting disrespectful, then that's different. But your comparisons to me are very bleak. People typically focus on very limited experiences and then expound upon it and make it conclusional. And I don't think that that's fair. White people don't spend enough time around Black people to, in my opinion, gather the real life experience that is the vast majority. So if you have one isolated incident or maybe even a dozen, and then you compare it to how old that person is, all these other variables, that's what we're trying to get you to understand. You, in my opinion, you can't form a hard conclusion. And I think that sometimes maybe people like yourself, maybe people that belong to, your class per se, they typically try to focus on what they believe to be behavior, and then not having the skill set, in my also opinion, to be able to engage and dismantle some of these interactions. What I've noticed is that there's petty crime and then there's organized crime. White people typically are organized with their crime. They will set up contracts. They will set up whole agendas to thieve from talent and from individuals, and then make it seem like it's okay because that individual, those group of people may not be privy to how things truly work. So I think that the fact that you make it seem like, oh, well, we're not that bad. It's not a bad or a good. I think people need to grow up. I think people need to be better. But you can't say one is better or worse, in my opinion. And I think that's the issue that I'm having, because I see white people have attitude, and I see some that are pleasant. I see some that are thieves. I see some that are not. It's this is a human type of situation. I think Cooley tried to set that up as like, please explain to us in your experience where you see this happening on a regular basis. And I asked you a question: how do you quantify a Black man being more violent? You would have to start at the exception of every male born and then track their life, because I can tell you, being a brother, most brothers are not violent. Most brothers can't even fight. Most men can't fight. They don't even, own the copyright of martial arts being something that is a discipline, but also is tied to knowing how to strike and knowing how to defend oneself. So for you to make blatant statements, I think is very disingenuous. I would like to have a conversation where we can hopefully grow and learn some stuff, but the attacks are not necessary, in my opinion. And I land.
Okay, so can I respond? Cool. All right. So again, Black people do have the right to be passionate when they talk, but we also have the right to be fatigued. So it can be very fatiguing when, it's a little bit rude. Just my opinion. You can take it or leave it. Black people do commit more crimes. I think it's very obvious with the crime rate. The fact that you're kind of uneasy generally when you're in a Black area, you're much more likely to have someone commit a crime. And a third of Black men have felonies. So, I mean, I don't even know why we're arguing that point. Like, it's very obvious that Black people commit more violent crime. Like, I'm not going to gaslight you about the liberal white women. Like, can't we just be real here for like 2 seconds?
If you add in per capita, we can have an honest conversation. If you add in per capita, we
fine. Say per capita. Fine.
You did not, but you said commit.
I know, but see, that's bad faith.
Fundamentally do not. That would not be the case.
It's like it never ends.
You continue to speak on your personal experience. You continue to center yourself. You spoke about employing Black people. The majority of white people in America are laborers. They do not employ anybody. They are employed. So therefore, you speaking about your experience as an employer is quite literally antidotal to you and the minority. The majority of people are not out here hiring people. So
that's not true, though. That's not what I said.
And another thing that I know about you, like you're third generation, like your family is wealthy. So you do not have any experience with, oh, I was in a white neighborhood and the black people moved in. You didn't talk to the black people, sweetie. You did not talk to the black people. You were not around the black people.
Oh, that's
you are making it up.
Okay.
So that's why it's hard to listen to you, because I would like you to say something that's founded in fact and not just your feelings. I do understand like you want to embody the ideology of a feminine woman, but please try to practice some stoicism and speak on some kind of facts. Like use some numbers. You threw out a bunch of statistics from the FBI, then turned around and said, I don't trust statistics, and then spoke specifically about your experience as soon as your statistics from the FBI was debunked. So like what we're seeing here is that you're pivoting and you're continuously trying to do this to move us from the point of the argument. But the point of the argument is Black fatigue based in something more than just pearly things experience.
Well, it wouldn't just be my experience, because there's a ton of people online talking about theirs too. Ton of white people are talking about their experience with Black people. This is not just me. I don't really understand that.
But Pearl, real quick, by that logic, we have to say that there's a ton of Black people speaking about all the systematic oppression and everything from white people.
I gotta finish Cooley.
Just logic.
But you just interrupted everybody on the panel, though.
Because everyone's talking to me. So
we're talking about a topic.
Hold on, y'all.
That's fair. Yeah, let her land her plane. That's my mistake. Go ahead, Pearl.
See, God, I kind of forgot. So this is why I try to get going. But wait, hold on. I forgot what you said. Sorry. Please. Yeah, I'm trying to.
I'm gonna go ahead and switch it up a little bit. How much of today's behavior comes from history, like slavery and Jim Crow?
Yeah. So you mind if I speak on this a little bit real quick? Because I was gonna ask a question to Miss Pearl and then also Pearl, because Pearl says something like, well, I see a lot of things on social media and a lot of whites are complaining. If using that logic, you would have to be logically consistent and say, well, since Black people are always speaking about, the past history of, white people enslaving us and Jim Crow and everything like that, then that must have some legitimacy to it as well, right? This if we're being logically consistent. But anyways, to answer your question, you said, how much does the past history have to do with today?
How much of today's behavior? And I'm going to drop the timer down to 2 minutes. We got to get some other folks in, y'all, because some of the same people talking. How much
I got you. I'll make it clean and
comes from history like slavery and Jim Crow?
Yeah, so I would say not too much, but it depends on the person. So if you think about what depression is dwelling on the past. And if you're dwelling on the past too much, you can find yourself in a state of rumination. And if you're in that state of rumination, it's very hard for you to overcome and move forward and to grow when you find yourself in that state of rumination. I think that currently a lot of Black people, when they say things like, oh, well, systematic oppression, we were oppressed in the past, those Black people are weak-minded, feminine Black people, and they're relying that all of their thought process is focusing on the past. So they're actually in a state of rumination, just like how a depressed person would be in a state of rumination. It's very similar. I think that mental state, Black people need to overcome that. It's pitiful. It's the saddest thing that I see from my Black people. And I'll be honest, I used to be in that state of the victim mindset and thinking about the past, but that's something that we all have to overcome.